There's a lot more to it than I thought. You know, I was 18 years old. I had the opportunity to jump in the Home Depot car. I probably would do it again, but who wouldn't do that? So it's definitely the right thing to do. But once you get in there and realize how much more stuff actually comes along with that, it's off-track stuff, dealing with people, how to deal with certain situations, keeping a team motivated, being a leader. That was all stuff that I was 18 years old. How do you don't really know how to do that? You know, it's just I was go out there and race all the time, and all those other things came really easy to me. Even nationwide wins have come really quick. So, you know, it was a lot bigger jump than I thought, just because of a lot of the off-track stuff.
Do you think now that you've had this, I mean, is it time for you to step up and now lead your team? Did you not do that in the past? Are you ready to do that now?
You gotta step it up, and part of the first thing is realizing it, obviously, and you know, with the crew chief change now, it allows it to be your team, and allows you to be a leader. So I think that's a really big deal for me, and I think you know, like I've been saying, Jason and I are on the same level with each other. You know, we're doing this together, and I think it's going to help us out a lot.
But the last 10 races of 2010, I mean, you could have almost won the championship if you'd been in the chase. So obviously,
right,
you can perform week after week at a very high level, which is sort of surprising. 211 was like, I don't know. Sometimes you just
tell me about it.
I mean, you were doing fine, everything was going good. We looked at 2009 being great, and all of a sudden, 2011, like the bloom burst or something like that.
Yeah,
it
was very frustrating. You know, obviously we came into last season with a ton of confidence, ton of momentum that we're going to go out there and make some big things happen, and then it really fell on our faces. You know, so.
Well, part of that, well, your teammate.
Our whole company wasn't as strong as it needed to be. We had a lot of little problems. We lost that momentum, and we got into a hole, and we never dug ourselves out. So at the end of the season, you can't expect to just keep on doing that. You got to do something different. You got to change something, and like I said, bring that new life in. So you know, I feel personally I got more confidence going into this year than I did last year, even, which arguably I probably shouldn't, but I do, and I feel like we're going to go out there and do some good things this year.
Yeah, Denny says he's a slow starter. Are you a fast starter or a slow starter in terms of the season? I mean, it's a long season.
I think it's very important to take off strong out of the hole here. You know, it's really going to set the tone for the season. You know, if you look at last year, we didn't set the tone very well, and we struggled all year. So I think it's a really big deal. Like, get out, get going, get those points early in the season, make that chase, and go out there and do the best you can. So I don't think you can afford to have bad races right off the bat because it gets you in a hole.
Go ahead.
Have you allowed yourself to think of, when you think of Daytona 500 and winning it, have you allowed yourself to think of like what it would be like or how you'd react or just like picture in your head?
That'd be pretty cool, and it's you know, I mean, I guess ever since you're little, you always dream about winning the 500 or really any cup race. You know, it would be it's huge. It's a career changer. I think everyone saw what it did for Trevor last year, winning that race. So it's a really big race to win. You know, and we're all out there trying to do the same thing. So. In some ways, it's no different than any other weekend, and in other ways, it's way bigger than any other weekend. You know, so but you go in there with the same attitude as you do every other race.
But do you let yourself? I mean, do you allow yourself to drift into that daydream of what it would be like, though, or do you kind of push it out of your head and treat it as business and this is what we have to do?
It's more business. You know, you can kind of drift away, I guess, every once in a while, but not when you're at the racetrack. You know, I think when you're here, you got to be focused in the whole time.
Do you ever find yourself starstruck, being relatively new to the sport, seeing these guys you watched when you were younger, or perhaps even some of the celebrities that tend to gravitate around these races?
I was at first, you know, especially when I first started this whole gig, you know, racing against, Jeff Gordon and all those guys. Like, wow, man, that's really cool. You know, you don't ever, I watched them on TV, Mark Martin, all those guys, and then now you're out there racing with them. So that was really cool. Now I've been here long enough that, you're one of the guys now.
Did you ever ask anyone for their autograph when you first started?
No, I didn't do that.
Any of the celebrities you run into ever leave a little starstruck?
Not really. No, I'm pretty easygoing, dude. I don't really get starstruck. We're all the same. We all put our underwear on the same way.
All right, thanks, man.
I think. I hope, at least.
Joey, as far as young guys go, you started at what, age 15 basically, and now you work your way up. You're still a young guy. What would be your best advice for a young person wanting to do what you did?
There's Yeah, I started when I was 6, and the big thing is when you're that young, you have fun with it. You know, it's not a job then. You know, you're out there to have a good time and race and learn as much as you can, have fun. So once you get to this level, it's a different story. You know, it's a job. You're out there to win races. You're out there to, present your team, present your sponsors the best way you can. And, back then it's, late model race and all that. It's out there to have fun, have a good old time and go race. So that's the big thing, have fun. But, if your goal is to get here, you got to stay focused. You got to give up stuff to gain stuff sometimes. So it's part of it.
One of the things I noticed last year was that you had 3 separate teams, 3 separate drivers. You were like the youngest kid there, and the 2 older guys were like at each other's throat half the time, and Kyle was going here, and Denny was in a slump and everything like that. There weren't 3 teams working as one. How's that going to change this year?
When you have a bad season like that, I think typically the next year is a lot better, or one of your better seasons, or one of your best seasons. You'll learn to take a step back, look at what happened last year, what we can do to learn from that. And I think a lot of that's going to bring us all to come together a lot better. And obviously with Jason there now, Jason and Dave work together a lot. So that's going to help that communication out there a lot. And Darian, I think, has definitely plugged this stuff right in really quick and getting along really quick. So those 3 crew chiefs are definitely on the same page. So
I always get the feeling that Dave Rogers is almost like the team leader right now. Darian's new, Jason's good. Kyle is trying to find his maturity. Denny's trying to come back. But I almost get the feeling that there's got to be one guy that's sort of like the team leader on Monday or Tuesday. Who is the team leader? Is it Kyle? Is it you? Is it Denny? Is it Dave? Is it?
Well, we're all leaders in our own way, in your own certain thing. Obviously, Dave's the senior crew chief now, which is great. I love Dave to death. So I've worked with him a lot growing up through the nationwide stuff. So Dave's awesome. But I don't see them thinking as one guy's better than the next. I think we're all there equally, and I don't see anyone. They're just better than us. I don't see that happening there.
What are your expectations for this year?
Our expectations to go out there and win some races. That's the I think we need to be. Go out there, make the chase, do the best we can. Go out there to win every race. That's our plan.
Do you feel any different coming down this year than you did any other year coming to Daytona?
Yeah, I do feel quite a bit different. This is obviously a really big year for me. Not that any other year wasn't, but it's definitely a very important year for me. I feel like I got my ducks in a row better than any other year. I feel like I got my guys behind me a lot, and I think we come down here expecting a lot, and I think we'll be fine. I think we're all excited about it equally. I think my whole team is pumped up. They're all working hard. They're all excited about the changes we made. So I think it's going to be good.
Did you feel you didn't have the ducks in a row last year? Did you feel like, I don't know if the guys support me, or I don't know where my place is?
Yeah. You think you do, and it's not that my guys didn't support me. It's just there's a lot of things you realize once you get going. You're like, man, I really wish I did that, and little stuff like that it's part of somewhat being new, and I feel like I'm a lot more involved with my team this year. I have a lot more say. I can lead my team now a lot more. So I think that's the big reason why I feel that way.
Joey, as far as the way you came up the ranks, would you do anything differently now? Or did you?
No, for me, I got brought up the ranks really, really quick. I was running late models when I was 12. ASA and Pro Cup when I was really young. Gibbs signed me when I was 15. And all that stuff. No, I wouldn't really do anything different there. That came out, that turned out good. The only thing was that I did get thrown into the Cup stuff really quick. But I still, if that same opportunity presented to me again, I would take it the same way. So I wouldn't do nothing different. I think as far as the steps I took, obviously you always can look back and say, man, I wish I could done this a little bit more, done that a little bit more. But every 3 drivers here can say the same thing.
Jimmy was just over there talking about when he was in his first couple of years, the biggest fear he always had was, am I going to make it? Am I going to stick? Is this, am I here for the long haul? And I don't think he said he didn't feel that way, that he was secure until he won a championship. How do you feel right now in terms of your career?
This sport, you're never going to feel secure in anything. You know, and I think that goes for everybody. Not just drivers. It goes for you guys working on the car. I think it goes for media. I think it goes for everybody. That just you're never going to be secure in any job. Shoot, not even in racing. Anything. Things change, especially in an economy like this. You know, anything can happen. So, obviously, you gotta somehow take that to motivate you, one way or another. So, obviously, you want to be comfortable and you want to be secure and know everything's fine. But when you look at it realistically, it's probably not. So you gotta go out there and motivate yourself to do whatever you can to give you that feeling. And that's the only thing that's gonna do that is, like Jimmy said, winning races, winning championships.
When you got up here so fast in the Cup, there were a lot of expectations you put on yourself and other people put on you. Danica's going to be going through a lot of that same stuff this year. What advice would you give to her on how to handle that stuff?
You know, it's tough. You know, there's definitely times that you can get down on yourself. And I think the big thing is you got to keep confidence in yourself. Once you lose that, it's game over. And I don't see her doing that. So she seems like she's got plenty of confidence. So I don't see her any lack of that. So I think she'll be fine. She'll work her way through it. You know, the thing is, I think everyone needs to be patient. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. This deal's pretty tough.
You mentioned how tricky a deal job security is here. I mean, what's it like when your name sort of enters that constant rumor mill or that speculation that gets your name in that pot? Where's he going to be? You know, what's his car going to be next year? How do you block it out if you can?
You try to block it out, you know, because you don't necessarily want to hear it, and all it does is take your mind off where it needs to be. So you try to not think about it, but when you turn on the TV and all you see is them talking about you, saying you're out or you're in or this or that, whatever it is, you know, you're like, huh, I wonder if that's true, you know. But you know, the thing is, that's not going to make your race car go any faster. You know, thinking about that stuff is just a distraction, and you need to limit your distractions.
Has that ever changed? You know, not your approach, you know, on a weekend, but put more pressure on you, or maybe you did something maybe you wouldn't normally have tried on the track, pressed, anything like that?
You'll try different things when your season's not going as well. You know, like we did last year, you get to the point and you're like, well, I'm just going to go in this season with this, or not this season, this race with a certain state of mind, you know, whatever it is. You know, I'm going to go out there and do this week and this week. It's because you're trying to break the funk that you're in. Not that the media is saying one thing or the other, you're in or you're out. You're just trying to make yourself run better one way or another. All the rest of the stuff goes along with it. So you'll try different things because you need to go faster, and what you're doing now isn't working. So that's what will force you to try different things.
Are you and Ratcliffe having any fun? I mean, like lately, is there anything you can tell us about Ratcliffe and you?
We have a good time. You know, the communication's there. You know, I go barge into his office and we'll sit down and we'll go to lunch and hang out and stuff like that. He's come over to the house a few times, and I tried to cook dinner. It didn't really come out that well, but felt bad. It was a bad first impression of me cooking a steak, but besides that, no, we've had a good time.
Did you burn the steak?
I don't know what happened. It fell apart. I marinated it, and then it fell apart. It was like beef tips when I was done. I was like, what happened here?
How did he react?
It still tasted good, so it was okay. It didn't look good, but it tasted good. So you got to take what you can sometimes. It's either that or starve. So.
You know, it could have been a disconcerting thing to lose a crew chief you become accustomed to working with, and then getting paired with someone you're totally unaccustomed to working with. But how reassuring was it for you to make that pairing with Jason and to move forward, you know, with Greg Logano?
You know, it's important I think we made a change. You know, I think it's you know, you can arguably say what was going on wasn't working. So we gave it, you know, 3 years. We gave it a valid effort. You know, and we need to perform. We need to perform for our sponsors. We need to perform for the guys at the shop, and perform for myself. You know, and we didn't do it. So you got to do something different.
I mean, you were experiencing success with him on the nationwide side, and did you ever say, man, if only we could have that on the Cup side?
You know, I got to work with Jason for 2 races on the nationwide side, and I always said, man, I wish I could work with him more and see where we can really take this. You know, and the opportunity arose, and they put him in. You know, so like, yeah, that's like, okay, that's fine, let's do it. You know, and the more we've worked with each other, the more we can really take our time. And that's the big thing about Jason. He takes his time. There's no, I don't know if he's stressed out or not, but he doesn't seem like he's stressed out. And I think that carries throughout the whole team. It's just a relaxed atmosphere, but still very intense. You're still out there trying to win the race, but he will take his time in practice. Even he's going to take his time, make sure he really knows what the car is doing, ask me the questions that he needs to know the answers to for the changes he made, and then we're going to make the change. We're going to really take our time a lot more than we have in the past, and I think that's going to be a big thing.
With all the changes that have gone on, drivers moving to new rides, crew chief swaps, and everything else, but for you as a driver, does it take a period of adjustment on the track to kind of get yourself acclimated to who's around you now that they're in different cars, different sponsors? Do you need a roster in the car to say, okay, this is who's riding next to me? Or
I was more confused during the test here because everyone's car looked the same, and then there's different numbers, and I'm like, okay, AJ's in this car now. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get it figured out. So it's important. It's important to know who you're racing against, for sure. It is very important to know that. So that's why I watch NASCAR Race Hub at night.
What impressed you most about Tony's run to the chase last year?
What impressed me most about his run?
Yeah.
Oh, that he won half the races. That was pretty impressive. Coming from not that he had a bad season in the beginning of the year, but he really didn't seem like he had the speed in the car to win many races, and it was like a light switch. It was like, boom, there he is, here he goes, wins championship. That's impressive, to be able to turn a season around like that. What was his quote? He doesn't even deserve to be in the chase or something, and he goes out there and wins it. So that's that never quit, never die attitude that everyone needs to have here.
When he came out, I guess in Michigan, it said that'd be a wasted space in the chase.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't mentally cross him off the list saying, okay, he's not going to be a factor.
No, I mean, unfortunately that wasn't a chase, so it didn't really matter for me. But, I could see how it's possible some people could have done that, but, I think you got to look at it and see who it is. It's Tony Stewart. And obviously he proved that he might be better than he thinks he is.
These struggles last year help you maybe handle your own struggles? I mean, did you feel like it was partly a team thing and not just a 20 car thing?